What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 17 of Skins in the Game, where John and Tim go into what's going on in the DC sports world. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I see you're good at counting. You've gotten all the way up to 17.
That's right.
Uh, Everything's
Math
good here. How you been?
math major. That's how I get
Yeah.
there. No,
Well, and you're going to
we're
be in
good.
trouble when you get over 20 because you only have 10 fingers and 10 toes, and then you're going to have to figure out a new way.
Right. I have 12 toes actually. It just goes to show what you know. No, just kidding. No, we're doing good. Just got one of my fantasy leagues that I run started up, and everything's good. I got the 10th pick out of 10, so we'll see how that goes. Selena's the one that I'm in with. Selena's already to go. I got pick number 7 there. I think she has pick number 8. No, I had number 6. So that's going. I've been doing my videos on the NBA, doing nightly videos on the NBA. If you haven't caught any of those, we're doing them every night. You can see them in the mornings. Just update of every game and everything like that. So that's been fun. But yeah, other than that, I've just been chilling.
It's good.
Yep.
It's good for you. It's keeping out of trouble.
There we go. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop right into it. We got a lot of Redskins topics today. Should be relatively shorter to talk about, but there's a lot of them to talk about. So we have Ron Rivera was diagnosed with lymph node cancer called squamous cell carcinoma. I did a little, what do they call that when you write the words how you know how to say them?
Phonetically.
Phonetically, yeah. I don't think they're proper phonetically, but that's how I had to write it down, so I knew. But it was apparently found after one day he was shaving and his neck was sore, and he went to the doctors and they said, all right, well, let's see how it goes. And he apparently didn't go away for a week, so they did some tests and they did find it. Good news is it's very treatable, and I was watching some YouTube videos on it, and some doctors said that apparently one way you can get it's a skin cancer, and one way you can get it is a lot of exposure to the sun. So I thought maybe he's going to want to be coaching in the bubble a little bit more.
Just get a very wide-brimmed hat.
Right? Yeah, I know
Yeah,
he's old school and wants the elements to be at play, but apparently these elements may have been what's got him. But it is very treatable and curable, so that is good news. He told reporters that he's going to start treatment soon, and he'll be doing it 5 days a week for 7 weeks, but he will continue to coach throughout the entire time. So what do you think about
For now.
what's going on here?
Well, and I know I can't help but think that the Redskins sure seem snake bit, but and I mean I wish nothing but the best for him, and Godspeed, and he'll be in my prayers. The one thing I heard that, of course, if he's going to keep coaching, this is not a well, I don't know how likely it is, but he did say that if for any reason he has to step away, that Jack Del Rio is going to be the interim coach. I don't think that's a good thing.
You don't like Jack Del Rio as a coach?
I think
As a head coach?
I'll compare him to Richie Pettibone, which is back in the Redskins' heyday, was a brilliant defensive mind. When Joe Gibbs left, he tried to take over as head coach, and he stunk at it. So I don't think that Jack Del Rio has the temperament or the diplomacy to be a head coach. So hopefully if he has to do that, it wouldn't be for long, but even better would be if Ron's able to treat this without missing any time and that it all goes according to plan. But
yeah, I mean I would definitely rather have Mr. Sorry, his name Ron Rivera instead of Jack Del Rio. I was just looking at Jack Del Rio's record. He's just under 500, 93 and 94. He's had up and downs. He's been as high as 12-4 and as low as looks like 3-8 one season. So he's an up and down coach. We'll see. Yeah, I mean I much prefer Ron Rivera, but
well, and don't get me wrong.
I think we could be worse.
Yeah, I think Jack Del Rio could hold it for a couple of games or something if he had to, but I just hope, like I said, it all goes according to plan with Rivera and that he is able to stay in there and keep implementing his concepts or his, what's the word, not concept, but vision. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but
Vision's a good word. Yeah, path for the team and everything. Yeah,
yeah.
where the
So,
direction. No, that's good. Yeah, he was asked also how he was feeling, and he said honestly pretty angry. I'm not quite sure how this happened. This is the healthiest I've been in a long, long time. And honestly, I've lost some weight, been working out and doing the things the right way. It does stink to see. It seems like when you do try to help yourself, all of a sudden something else comes up. Kind of like what we're doing. The Redskins are doing a lot of the different things to try to help themselves, and all of a sudden your coach gets cancer. Yeah, it's like, ugh. So, but
I mean,
yes, I agree.
Like I said, Godspeed to him, and hopefully, the 7 weeks of treatment take care of it, and that everything's good.
Yeah, it does not seem like there's any signs to say that this should be a huge problem. Apparently, it is very what's the word? Mobile or spread. Like it could spread very easily. But if they say if you catch it early, which it seems like they have, that there really shouldn't be too many problems.
Yeah, lymph nodes are a dangerous place to have it because yes, and I'm not a medical expert, so I'm probably not going to explain it correctly, but interconnected with other things in the body that it's more susceptible to spreading.
Is that like the foot bone connected to the leg bone, and the leg bone connected to the...
The lymph node's connected to the other node.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, now we're singing during the show. We have definitely digressed.
Yeah, well, I didn't sing it. I just said the words. No. All right. Well, yes, we can move on from that. Yeah, but I agree. Let's pray for Ron Rivera. Hopefully a speedy recovery is in order. So we got a Kyle Allen interview, which most people probably didn't really catch this one because, who's looking at Kyle Allen. And most of the interview was just basic questions of like how he feels about the offense, blah, blah, blah. But one thing is that I took away from it is that he talked up Haskins on how quick he's picking up this offense, and even went as far to say is I'm actually like bouncing ideas off him to see how he feels of things, which what told me like this what's significant in my mind is that there is no competition here. Like if they're already on the same page or like similar pages on this offense, then there is 0.0 competition between Haskins and Allen.
Yep. Well, and also keep in mind, too, that Allen is used to the way Ron Rivera runs things, and my feeling is that Ron Rivera has zero tolerance about talking outside of the locker room about anything other than saying the right things. So whether or not, I think Kyle Allen's saying the right things, absolutely, but whether or not that's what's going on behind the scenes, we can't be sure. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you could say a positive thing about Haskins, but to go as far as to say that I'm bouncing ideas off of him, that's another step that you didn't need to have to go. You could just say, oh, I think he's progressing quite well through this offense, and I think he's looked good. Those are good things to say, but I think he went into a little bit more detail than...
Yeah, and if he's like saying, yeah, I'm learning things from him too, then you're right. He didn't have to go that far if he didn't feel that way. So that's a good point.
Right.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear that, positive things about Haskins. I think Rivera had positive things to say about him. You don't have any of and I guess it's a little early in the year to have that, but where there's no sign of dissension, there's not a whole lot of chatter coming out of Redskins Park, and it feels like all the chatter coming out is very controlled and is, and I think it's the way it should be. I think that's, you look at the Patriots. It's like nobody in the Patriots talks about anything other than, positive cliche stuff. And that's what you need to have a successful football team. You can't have your team, coming out to the media and complaining about stuff or things like that. So I think it's a good sign.
Agreed. That's a fair point. I didn't think of it that way, but that's fair.
I get lucky every now and then.
One in a row here.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll.
Other news is Chase Young has missed a lot of practice right now with a hurt hip flexor. It happened apparently during the first day of padded practice last week, Tuesday, right before the show. He did not play much on Wednesday, and he hasn't practiced much since. It does not seem serious by all accounts. Ron Rivera was asked about it, and he said, we want to make sure before we throw him back out there, so we may be a little more cautious than we need to be. We want to be smart with him, but we also want to make sure mentally he's where he needs to be. Emotionally, it's the same thing, because frustration does set in. I've seen it with young guys that just want to be out there and showing everybody that he's worth the second pick of the draft. So it sounds like they're going to be overly cautious, which is not a bad thing. But at the same time, it's been almost a week, and I think he just got back to practice a little bit today, which it's still a little bit concerning to me, because we are just over 2 weeks away from game day, and I would like our young rookie to be getting some practice time on the field.
Yeah. And what causes a hip flex? Is that like stepping the wrong way, or is it hit? Is it contact, or can it be? Do you know what did he get hit by somebody that caused a hip issue, or did he step and tweak something because of the way he moved? I was just curious about that. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I've never had a hip flexor issue in my days of playing. So in either sport, I've had hip bruising or different things where I've gotten seriously hit on the hip, where the bruise showed up like 5 days later. It was great, and then it ended up being like, I don't know, 8 inches long and 5 inches tall or something, like on my side. So but I've never had what you would consider a hip flexor, so I don't know exactly what causes that.
Well, and I just looked it up real quick. One of the things they said, it's typically caused by overuse. So if he's like doing major lifting and is just working his butt off, is it possible that he's working too hard?
How about throwing around 6'7", 330-pound linemen? How does that sound for overuse?
Yeah, like throwing out the laundry. That was a good video. But
yeah, so that may have done it.
Yeah, they also say that weaknesses in the muscles surrounding the hip flexors can cause. Although I don't see Chase Young as having weaknesses in any muscles, just because of the way he works out. So maybe it's just him being to your point earlier of that he wants to show his worth and show that, hey, he's worth the number 2 pick, and maybe he's just going 110% all the time and was overdoing it a little bit and needs to take a break. So that makes me feel better than if it's like with other injuries where it's a contact injury, where it seems to me like if you pull a muscle, well, not pull a muscle, but have a sore muscle, and you take a couple of days off, it can heal very quickly. So that's what I'm hoping, that because doesn't seem to be a contact thing where there's damage, it's just something of overuse, and it's like, okay, the muscle's going, the hip flexor's going, okay, enough, take a little break, and maybe a couple days off and taking it lightly, then he'll be right back in, game shape and ready to go. But
I'm right there. I'm hoping the exact same thing, because we do not need another injury bug. Like, we've had plenty over the last, especially 3 seasons or so, where it's just been uncanny, the amount of injuries. The most injured team in the league, and I don't think it's close. It's been really sad.
And especially given the fact that, okay, they changed the whole coaching staff, the medical staff, the training staff, and to have, if they remain as one of the most injured, not that one injury is saying that's going to happen, but if it turns out that they remain the most injured team even after doing that, then you have to say there's some kind of curse going on. I don't know what else to think. But yeah, the number 2 pick to be, in the first padded practice. And again, I'm sure you can just tell by the videos I've seen of him and his personality is he is 110% kind of guy. And maybe he just overdid it, and they just need to be like, okay, take a couple days off, recoup, and then, I mean, he is young. He's, 22 years old? So
yeah. He was interviewed today, and he was asked where he feels in the injury, whether it was 100% or not, and he said it's right there. right around
Right.
100%. And he was like, we just want to make sure it's 110% and get my mind right where I don't have to worry about this
Right.
injury.
And I'm sorry, what you said? What day did it happen? 2 days ago?
Last Tuesday, almost a week ago,
Oh, okay. So it was.
or a week
All
ago
right.
today. Week ago today.
Okay. It's funny that you just heard about. Well, I just heard about it within the last few days, so it's maybe they were kind of keeping
Yeah, I
it.
think it was kind of on the down low. Apparently, it wasn't really noticed by reporters until the next day, where they were seeing practice and he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't practicing really.
His normal self, right?
Yeah, so they were wondering why he wasn't, and that's when it started coming out, like what was actually going on. So I
Yeah, and
guess
if he doesn't want to tell people that, if he thinks, oh, I can just play through it, he's probably done that many times in his career and it's been fine. So if he's not telling anybody he's hurt, and then they don't know, the only way they know that he's hurt is like, okay, he's not, to your point earlier, throwing around 6'6", 320-pound guys,
yeah.
like he's throwing out the trash. But it's so yeah,
Yep.
I
And
I'm
that
hope-
is good
hopefully
news as
he's taking
well.
Days off.
No, I was saying
Go ahead.
it should be good news as well that it probably was a thing where it was kind of lingering whenever he practiced the whole all day Tuesday, went to the training room after the fact, told him about it, and they were like, okay, rest. Like it
Right.
wasn't like an injury where all of a sudden he had to leave the practice field in the middle of the practice, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you have to get out. Like, I need to go back to the training room. So all these are good signs, and everybody's saying it's not serious. You've heard it from Ron. You've heard it from himself. You've heard it from Jack Del Rio. Everybody does not seem really worried about it, which is good news. But at the same time, we've been snake bitten too many times with it. We've been hurt. Just like 2 seasons ago, Darius Geis. Oh, he walked off the field. He's stretching it around. He should be fine. Up next day, torn ACL, out for the season.
Right.
Did never see him again. Like what? So
Yeah, you've seen guys, professional athletes, walk, and then afterwards you find out they have a broken bone.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's the nature of them is they're used to pain, and it's like, oh, I can take care of this. And I'm trying to think of what the equivalent of it to the Wizards injury, where it was like, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, where he got hurt and it seemed like, okay, not a big deal, and then it turned out to be maybe I'm thinking of
John Wall. I mean, John Wall seems
John
to be
Wall.
injured all the time. Yeah, he has yet to play a full season in a long time, so it may have been John Wall.
Yeah.
I don't even know what his
Maybe it
current
was
injury is.
Was it his finger? I think the one I'm thinking about might have been his finger, that he broke it, and then he ended up playing that year that they went they played against Boston in the was it the finals of the Eastern Conference or the semifinal? It might have been the semifinal.
They haven't made it to the finals.
No, they
since
made it
I've
to
been
the.
watching
I
them.
think it's the semifinals. They made it
yeah.
to Game 7, and Wall was playing with a broken finger. But it's like, okay, yeah, it's not a big deal. Although that's different than being able to. You can walk around with a broken finger. But
yeah.
But yeah, let's hope. We'll just hope. I know, like to your point, 2 weeks. What's it? 2 weeks from Sunday coming up, right?
2 weeks from Thursday is 2 weeks from Thursday is the start of the season, and then 2 weeks from Sunday is our first game. Yeah, we're right around the corner from starting, which is just a weird deal with no preseason. It seems like it's just coming and sneaking up on us from nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm still sour that I'm not going to be at the game, and I haven't heard anything about refunds on tickets, which I'm sure the Redskins will take their sweet time in giving season ticket refunds, but
yeah,
we'll see. Anyway.
All right. Well, next up, we got 2 notable cuts from the team this week. One being kind of a cut we could kind of see coming, with Cody Latimer being on the commissioner's exempt list prior to this. But on Sunday, he was officially cut. And just a reminder, he was the one who allegedly was playing poker with a group of people, left the apartment, came back with a weapon, fired the weapon in the direction of people, did not hit anybody. And then it was later came out that apparently someone at the game may have been inappropriately doing something with his son. So, very weird story, but officially he is no longer a Redskin or a Washington football team player, however you want to say it, but he is not on this team any longer.
in reality, what in your what in your opinion was his potential impact this year?
He was an interesting pick because he had some size where we didn't really have much size. So I don't think he was ever going to be somebody that, 1,000-yard receiver or anything. But he could have been an interesting weapon in the red zone. He wasn't a terrible receiver, but he wasn't anything special. So we didn't lose much in this transaction.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is that it wasn't like, oh my God, like Darius Geis, and who knows what we would have gotten out of him. But yeah, he's not an impact or wasn't a shock to the system. I say shock or surprise, I should say, is because
you're talking about Cody. Cody wasn't the shock.
I'm saying that. I was saying like not like Darius Geis, that when he was cut, it was that was kind of shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
Lattimore is not like, oh my God, what have we lost?
Mm-hmm.
And out of this player. So yeah, I think again, good for them. It's like they're not playing around. Rivera is like, you screw up off the field, you're gone. I don't care who you are. You could be a 15th pick, or you could be a 3rd round pick, or whatever. That if you're in the news for something else besides football that's not like helping homeless children, then you're out.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. If you're in the news for something good, then great. You're welcome to the family. But yeah, zero tolerance of we're not putting up with. And I think they gave, in this case, they weren't exactly sure what was going on, and they waited to find out. And then when they found out enough, they're like, okay, see ya. And I think it's great.
For sure.
I feel pretty good about our other receivers, and it's like, sorry, we don't need that excess baggage.
No, we definitely did not need that, and I completely agree. The other cut was a bit more surprising because I had this guy making my 53-man roster, and that is undrafted free agent rookie Thaddeus Moss, son of Randy Moss, cut by the team on Monday. And this surprised a lot of people because he was kind of a fan favorite. But according to J.P. Finley, beat reporter from NBC Sports, he reported that the tight end was barely participating in practice, and tight ends coach Pete Honer was not impressed by Moss at all. And this may have been a rumor, but I did hear from somewhere, I think it must have been a Facebook post. I tried to Google it right before the show to see what was going on, but I heard that he chewed him out at practice and was not happy with what was going on. So apparently this was
like maybe he wasn't putting in the effort, or what, didn't seem interested, or whatever. Who knows? But
yeah, exactly. I was trying to find it right before the show so I can bring it up, but I couldn't find anything about that. Apparently, where he was really getting into him, but they put him on waivers with an IR designation, so he cleared waivers, and I believe, actually I should double check that, I don't remember now, but if he cleared waivers, then he goes to our IR, the Redskins IR list.
So you don't think he'll end up on like the practice squad or anything like that, or?
At this point, I don't think so, because it doesn't seem like the coaches were impressed.
Yeah, I got that impression. I didn't read a whole lot about it, but what I read about it was basically, for lack of a better expression, his work ethic. That he just didn't seem to be, in the old saying, in early, out late, or in first, out last. In 100% into practice, he's loping around and just interested. And it's like, no, I'm not. We're trying to see what you got so that you can make the team and potentially help us. And you don't seem to, even in that situation, you can't really muster up the interest to put in 100%. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's sad because I thought he had a chance of making this team. I didn't necessarily think it was because he was so much better than Jeremy Sprinkle. I thought it was more going to be a contract thing where, sprinkle me. But I didn't necessarily think it was because of talent, but I thought because of the contract, and I thought he was going to be good enough that he was going to be able to make this team. But that is not the case, and apparently who's kind of taken this place as the potential, he's shown up, is Marcus Ball, a young player. Apparently, Rivera said he is the most athletic tight end out there for us. I don't know much about him, but all reports from J.P. Finley, from John Keim and everybody, they're saying that he is really coming out during this practice time, during this training camp, and he may be able to sneak a spot behind Logan Thomas and Richard Rodgers. But I don't know. I haven't heard much about Richard Rodgers. It doesn't seem like he's being really talked about much. So I don't know. He may be all of a sudden our second tight end.
And what is his? Where did he? Because he's 25 years old. Where did he come from?
Yeah, as I said, I didn't know much about him, but other than he was in Ohio State. He came from Ohio State.
Okay, Oakland Raiders 2018, Carolina Panthers 2019, San Diego Fleet.
That's
2019.
Yeah, that's
the US, not the USFL, but the new.
No, that wasn't the new league. That's the. No, that wasn't the XFL. There was no team named the Fleet. What did you call them again? The Fleet?
San Diego Fleet, yeah. But apparently he didn't last anywhere too long. Oakland kept him 1 year. Panthers kept him part of a year. Then he ended up in the San Diego Fleet. So it looks like, I'm guessing, Carolina dropped him.
AAF, Alliance of American Football. That's the league that was in. Everybody watches that. How did you not know that?
Oh yeah, that was, I scheduled my whole week around AAF football. Not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, 6'4". If he can block, that's. I think a lot of tight ends anymore, they think of themselves more as a receiver, and there's the guys that understand what their job is, but it seems to me that it's increased the number of people that just don't want to get dirty. Like they want to just go out and run, come off the line and go run short patterns, check down or whatever, and
yeah. So apparently he's just under 6'4", 247 pounds. He ran a 4.8 40-yard dash. So he's got a big wingspan. It's 80 inches. 6 foot.
Crap.
6'8". What is that? Yeah, 72 inches would be 6'8". Yeah, so that's a decent wingspan for somebody that's just under 6'4". So, but yeah, they're saying that he's been the standout at the tight end spot behind Logan Thomas. Even without mentioning, like Ron Rivera was asked about the tight ends, and he didn't even mention Richard Rodgers. He mentioned Logan Thomas and Marcus Ball. Very interesting. I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, it doesn't offend me. I don't think this tight end group is necessarily fantastic. So if anybody shows up and wants to take the spot, then good for them.
Hey, if Ron likes him, it's good enough for me.
There you go. Speaking of another guy that's standing out in camp right now is Troy Apke, the 4th-round pick from, I believe, 2017. He's been on the team for 3 seasons now, and he hasn't been much more than just a special teams guy. But it's been reported that he has been consistently sent out with the first teamers during practice, and Landon Collins was actually asked about him being alongside him. He's doing a great job. He's understanding what he's supposed to be looking at. We're talking all the time on the back end, making sure what he sees. He's picking my brain on my knowledge and about how to play different things and playing within the defensive calls and how we've got to see things and see different adjustments just being on the same page. So it seems like some good praise coming from Collins. That's good to know.
Hey, and 6'1", got a little meat on him, over 200 pounds.
Fast as blazes. He ran a 4.35 as at the combine, and it was hilarious because I don't know if you ever saw that video. You should go back and watch it. But Deion Sanders was the commentator, and he's watching him run his 40. He goes, "Oh, he can run." Like, because they were surprised.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Oh, he can run.
They don't expect white guys to be able to run fast.
Well, not a 4.35. I mean, I would be interested to see with a lighter pigment. What is the fastest 40-yard dash? And he's got to be up there at a 4.35. I mean, that's blazing fast.
I'm actually hold on. I'm pulling up the YouTube. They got the YouTube video of his 40. I just wanted to see that.
You want to
I
pull
just
it
had it
up?
going. No,
That's
I just
funny. Yeah, they're
I
not
just
going to be
wanted
able
to
to
see
hear
what.
it. Yeah, you can watch it. That's fine. Uh, I'll go
No, I
ahead
didn't
and
want to hold up the show. I
yeah,
just
I'm going to
wanted.
talk about
I just
this.
wanted.
Is I'm sincerely surprised by this. I didn't. My read on him was that he was a great athlete, kind of afraid to get in there and tackle, not the best tackler, not a hard hitter, not necessarily the most instinctual player, being able to jump the ball. Because with that speed, if he got any sort of instincts, he can be a fantastic free safety. But I should have been more knowledgeable about this because Pro Football Focus gave him a grade of 74, and apparently he was the highest rated safety in the NFC East. And according to Pro Football Focus Twitter post, their grade scale goes as follows: 100, so 90 to 100 is elite, 85 to 89 is a Pro Bowler, 70 to 84 is a starter, 60 to 69 is a backup, and 59 or less is a replaceable player. So he's towards the lower end of a starter according to their grade for him last year, but he's in the green. He's technically a starter in their books.
Right. Hey, it makes sense. And hey, like you said, if he's got a little bit of instinct, speed can make up a lot of problems.
Oh my God,
So
he's so fast. Yeah, this.
I mean, if you ever watch Daryl Green play, Daryl Green made up a lot of issues with just his speed.
Yeah,
Like I could double move him, and he would get a step on him, and then Daryl would just catch up to him again and be like, "Okay."
yeah,
So
for real. And he's a safety, and he'd be playing a free safety spot, so he's already going to be 10, 15 yards off the line. So with that speed and a head start, essentially, that I, I would be very happy if he could play the safety position. I don't think that would be a
oh
bad
yeah,
thing at
free
all.
safety if he can be a ball hawk, and like you said, have good instincts, and then have the speed to be able to track down the ball and disrupt a lot of plays. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. So
For sure. And yeah, we'll be right here for it. I hope that Troy Apke does become the starter because I was saying that we're probably going to have to look for one in free agency. And but also we have Sean Davis, who is a young player. I think he's 25, 26 years old. He was brought in potentially as a starter, and apparently Troy Apke's getting the start over him. And then we also have Khaleke Hudson, the safety that we drafted, which I didn't expect him to be a free safety. He's more of a strong safety. But hey,
right.
Troy Apke is beating him out, and fantastic news.
Hey, and it's good again to hear that Ron Rivera talks. Hey, everything's a competition. So here's a guy that's, you know, answering the call and practice and competing, and Ron Rivera's noticed it. It's like, hey, you're out competing, you get the job. And again, it's good. I think that's different than it used to be in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. So it's good to see.
For sure. Another player that is on the cusp of getting a starting role, he should definitely be on the team, is third round pick Jerron Christian from that same draft class. He was the pick right before Troy Apke. And he had an interview yesterday that I listened to today that I thought was very interesting, but he basically talked about how he didn't prepare as he should have because he didn't think he was going to really ever play because of Trent Williams and Morgan Moses. And he says now that he's in a completely different mindset and is ready to play anywhere along the line, basically. He's now in the mindset of knowing his name will be called. It's just a matter of when and where, and he needs to be prepared to start week one. But I just thought that this was an interesting admission to the media here. So what do you think about that?
Um, I mean, I don't have it. I think he's got good number. You know, he's got the size, and you know, I think I can understand if you're in a position where you think, okay, I'm not getting in the game, and you let that get to you, and then not, you know, there's been many stories I know of people that were like, oh, I'm not getting in the game, so their mind's not even in it, and then suddenly the coach calls your name. but to now be in a position of, hey, I'm part of this team. I'm part of moving forward, and now putting in my effort. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword. If you're not going to get called, and then you don't get ready because you're not going to get called, then you're not going to get called because you don't get ready. So it's cyclical. So hey, I mean, it's like I said, 6'6". I didn't get his weight, although I'm sure it's over 300
310, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
he's a big boy.
So,
and he out of college, they talked about how good of feet he had. He was like a basketball player as well. Like, so he was extremely raw as far as a true talent at the left tackle position. He wasn't great in Louisville as a tackle, but that size that you talk about, height, arm length, and the ability to move quick on his feet really intrigued the past coaching staff. And so hopefully this coaching staff is able to actually develop him into a starting left tackle, because that's a big question mark that we have this year, is who's going to protect that Dwayne Haskins backside.
Yep.
Or blind side, I should say.
Yes. Use the right term.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I hope that Deron Christian comes out to be the starter. He's definitely in that position. That's another question mark, just like Troy Apke. And honestly, neither of these guys really excite me to get the starting role. My thoughts were not necessarily, they were not starting caliber, but
no, I know you wanted to pick up a one-year solution. I remember you were talking about, I can't remember the guy's name, but
Jason Peters, has he been signed yet? I haven't paid attention. I've been watching basketball for a while with all these things going on. I'm just curious if he finally got picked up. American Philadelphia Eagles. Is he back on the Eagles now?
I'd be lying if I said I knew anything. I wasn't tracking him, so I didn't know. Redskins didn't pick him up. I didn't pay attention. So
fair enough. Yeah, I'm just curious real quick if I can find it. Signed by Eagles. This is what it looks like Wikipedia saying. Oh, yep. On July 14th, Jason Peters to 1-year contract and will replace Brandon Brooks at right guard. So they're actually going to bring back Jason Peters to not play left tackle. He's going to be their left guard. Interesting. Or right guard, excuse me. Interesting. Man, I wish we signed this guy. I think he's really, really good. It would have been a very interesting guy. But that's not who we have, so I hope Deron Christian can perform at some sort of level, because it's not been good. I hope
he's shocked.
Right? Because I can also look up his PFF grade, which is just an interesting... I don't necessarily go by this is gospel, but it's just a nice way. They grade every single play based on what they believe they're supposed to be doing, and on what's going on, the game time situation and what's going on, and they give him a grade for every play, and then they total it up. Yeah, he was a 63, so he's graded as a backup, and so he's going to have to improve a lot because that's not a position you want to back up at. That is not a position you want to back up at.
But again, if his mindset was, I wasn't getting in the game anyway, and I didn't train correctly, and now he's in the mindset of, I want to do what I'm supposed to be doing, then maybe he becomes that starter.
Yeah, he's got to do something, because this is not too good. All right.
All right, well, listen, I want you to do your quick update on the Nats, and then I got a little interesting, I don't know how interesting it is, but a little game we're going to play after this.
Okay.
So do your quick Nats update.
All right, that's exactly what we're going to do.
It's an exercise.
All right, exercise it is. I don't like to exercise, but we'll do it. No, just kidding. All right.
Not physical exercise. I'm not getting out of my feet,
Yep, a quick Nats update. They are currently sitting at 11-15, 3 games behind the final wild card spot right now. But it's kind of a weird situation, because the team that's sitting there is the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're 10-8. Where we're 11-15. They actually had a string of COVID, so they had a bunch of games postponed. So we'll see what comes out of that. But they are 1 game behind the Marlins, where they just split a series with them. The trade deadline for the MLB is actually coming up on August 31st. And we have to do something about our bullpen. every time I look at the box score, I see runs in the 7th, 8th, and ninth inning all the time. Like, it's getting absolutely ridiculous. And multiple times, I see one closer or one bullpen pitcher have 4 runs in like 2/3 innings. It's getting absolutely out of control. I'm hoping that we try to strengthen up our pitching. Because even the games we're winning, we have to win like 9-5 or 8-7 or 8-6. Like, our offense has to show up big for us to win games, and we need to be doing something to turn the season around pronto. Because based on the level of games that we're at compared to like when you look at how many games we played at 12-31 and how many games were left compared to right now, we've played 26 games and how many games are left, we're actually farther behind. You there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like 30 games left?
Yeah, and so we're actually farther behind than we were when we made our comeback. So, like, we need to turn it around now before it gets too late to try to make a repeat or, defend our title. But they are also in a current game with Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, you have to start with winning. And then when you start winning, then you can worry about where you are. But as long as they keep doing what they're doing, then it doesn't matter that, they're going to have to start getting back at kind of like what they did last year, where it's like, okay, they were 16-31 or whatever it was, and they totally sucked in winning. And then they started winning games, and they started winning, 3 out of 5, and then 4 out of 7, and what are you laughing at?
I just love that they just need to start winning. Like, they do.
Start with that. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, worrying about, okay, they're 3 games out of wild card spot. It doesn't matter where they're at right now. The first thing they need to do is start taking care of business, and then the rest of it will work out. So, but you're right. It's like, they're not, the bullpen is not doing well, and they don't have the chemistry they had. So is it going to happen in the next 10 games? I mean, I think it's going to be with the number of games left. If they're going to make a move or have a chance, I think they need to show it in the next 10 games. But yeah, I know. Call me Captain Obvious. Just start winning. I know.
John Madden. The team with the most points wins the game.
Yeah.
Usually wins the game, actually. I don't know if it's always
true. The team that's in front at the end of the 4th quarter or the 9th inning is the one that's likely to win. So.
Yeah. All right, what's your exercise here?
Okay, well, like I said, I don't know. I happened across this. I was on Facebook today, and Jordan Diani of CBS Sports had 3 bold Washington predictions for 2020. And I wouldn't say they're all very bold, but I thought, hey, it might be fun just to give our opinion of what his, what his 3 bold predictions are, and see how far out in left field we think he is.
Okay.
So, bold prediction number 1, which I think is quite a bold prediction, is Washington ranks top 5 in sacks.
Top 5 in sacks. With Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, and Chase Young, they get after the quarterback. What's going to make that tough is we got a couple of really strong O-lines in the division with obviously the Eagles and the Cowboys. So we can see what we get out of those. And they're both mobile quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is another mobile quarterback. We also go against teams like Seattle with Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson in the Ravens. We have Big Ben, who's notoriously tough to sack. And you have San Francisco has a fantastic offensive line, obviously just getting Trent Williams. But even before Trent Williams, they had a really good O-line. So what makes that bold is the teams we're playing are going to be very tough to get some sacks. We may have to really stack them up on teams like Cincinnati, Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. We may have to really punish these weak teams to get that total. But where he's not necessarily bold is this D-line is top-notch. It's a very good D-line.
Yep. Well, and what I'm thinking when I thought about this is if this is going to happen, you're going to have Payne and Allen
Matt,
in the
yep.
middle that are collapsing the pocket, that they're disrupting the inside, which makes offensive linemen have to pay more attention to the inside edge because they're disrupting the pocket and collapsing it. Then you got some. Well, you certainly, I think, got one elite pass rusher on the outside. I think Kerrigan, if they can't double team him and can't pay attention to him, that they're that potentially is going to open up the edges to where they're going to come around the edges, but the quarterback's not going to have anywhere to go up the middle because of Payne and Allen collapsing the middle. So I think
And Matt
it's
Ioannidis
possible.
on a rotation. Matt
Yeah.
Ioannidis, yep.
So yeah, that they're my thinking is that they're going to have a hard time forming the pocket, and that they have the potential for getting some sacks. And you're right, they got Russell Wilson is very slippery. Um, Lamar Jackson is very slippery and fast. So yeah, they're playing against some teams that's going to challenge that. But I just thought it was like I think out of the three, that was probably the most bold. But I don't think it's like way out in left field to think that this defensive lineman or this defensive line is going to really surprise or is really going to or worry some offensive lines out there after the first couple of games of saying, wow, this is impressive. And I think, like I said, I don't think it's way out in left field. It is a bold prediction. I think that's the most bold one. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like it's not like, hey, the Redskins are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. It's not that far out in left field. So
Yep, it's bold. I say it's bold. I definitely say it's
yep.
bold. All right, what's number two?
All right. So the number two is not nearly as exciting, but it might be bold. It says Bryce Love emerges into running back number one.
Bryce Love, running back number one. Well, Darius Geis being cut certainly helps that prediction. Antonio Gibson is obviously a draft pick of this year that they want to play at running back. And we have one of the greatest of all time when you look at Adrian Peterson. And I guess maybe they're kind of predicting maybe a little lack of health due to the old age of Mr. Peterson. But I'm here for it. I would love for that to happen. But Bryce Love. But
I didn't catch that right away.
Adrian Peterson is still here, and he hasn't really shown any slowing down yet. I mean, obviously he slowed down a little bit compared to where he was at one point, but he's still freaking crushing it when he is in the games and they give him the ball. But I'm not mad at that prediction at all. But I agree again. That's a bit bold.
Yep. And I will say that Adrian Peterson works his butt off and continues. What's he, 36?
Something like that. 34 maybe. I don't know. He's up there.
Yeah, and for running backs, that's like age. Even 34 is ancient. So,
yeah.
But he is one of those that I think takes very good care of his body and
35.
works out very hard.
We're right in the middle.
35. So, all right. But yeah, the point being is that I think he's got the right mindset. He continues to train very hard, and I think they're going to be hard pressed to keep him out if he's producing. But think of it this way: if Bryce Love has the potential to be number one, and we get to switch between him and Adrian Peterson, then we're in a pretty good spot. So yeah, I agree. That's another bold prediction, but it's exciting nonetheless because I think again it's feasible. It's bold. It's not like out in left field.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so number three is not. This is like okay. So I think he went from the most bold down the line, but basically his prediction number three is that Dwayne Haskins proves he's the future. And I'm like, okay, wow, this is not like I said. I think this.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, I think that
very broad state. Like, I mean, does he just take a couple of steps forward and we can feel confident moving forward with him, or is this is he trying to say proves he's the future? Is this kind of like a 25 touchdown and 8 interception, 4,200 yards, 9-7 record kind of bold prediction?
Yeah,
or what is he? Where is he at? This is very broad to me.
No, I know. I think the wording is unnecessarily vague and is not um, the best way of what I believe he's articulating. That basically Dwayne Haskins shows us this year that he's the man,
Hmm.
that he is the guy. Now, I don't know what that translates into record-wise because I know there's a lot of other things, but my feeling is that um, Dwayne Haskins has to engineer some really good wins, some come from behind wins that shows that he's mastered the offense, leads some winning drives, 2-minute drills, and that basically coming out of the end of this year, and obviously if we're 6-10, that's not going to happen. So I think it's got to be. My guess is something over 500, or certainly at the very least 500,
Well, six
where you
and ten. It depends on what that 6 and 10 looks like, right? Are we getting blown out week in and week out, or are we having some tough games where occasionally we're pulling them out, but then we get blown out by like the Ravens, the Niners, the Seahawks, teams that are just clearly ahead of us in their team development as we're down the road. Like, do we get blown out by those teams? Have some tough games against Detroit, Arizona, and then we do like sneak up on a team like who can we sneak up? Like the Rams. Like we sneak up and beat
Seattle
the
maybe.
Rams. I mean, Seattle would be a heck of a win if we beat Seattle. But I mean, Seattle was 11-5 last year. It was a quiet 11-5, but it was 11-5 nonetheless.
Well, but I'm saying that you know how this town is. That if the Redskins are 6-10, then nobody's going to be saying that, or few people are going to be saying that Dwayne Haskins has shown that he's the future. I think we have to have a better record than that. And I see your point that if in a lot of the losses it comes right down to the wire and Dwayne Haskins gets us the lead in the fourth quarter, but the another good offense comes down and scores within the last minute and beats us, 23-20 or 24-20, and you really can't hang that on Haskins because Haskins did what he did his part and gave you the lead. But I think that 6-10, if the Redskins are 6-10 this year, that we're not having this discussion in January that 100% that Dwayne Haskins is the man. I just don't see that. It's possible, but I just don't see that. I think it has to be better than 6-10. I personally, I think he needs to get to at least 500 with this kind of schedule for us to be able to say, man, he played a tough schedule and he won half the games. So that's my feeling, but we'll see.
Fair enough. Do you have a
But
bold
anyway,
prediction of your own? Put you on the spot there. You didn't tell me about this topic, so I didn't think about it either or beforehand.
no, I actually saw it late this afternoon, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to surprise. I was only going to bring it up if we didn't have, if we needed, if our other subjects took up the hour, I wasn't going to bring it up. And I was like, okay, so bold predictions of my own. Well, my bold prediction that I had a while ago that I think that the defense is going to be scary good, and that it's going to
What are they going to
carry
rank,
the
Dad?
team.
Go ahead. What's your bold prediction? What are they going to rank?
They might be top five.
Top five defense?
Or if they're not top five, they're going to be really, really close to it. But they're going to be a defense that that offenses are going to be afraid to play.
So
And
your
that's
prediction, top seven. Top seven defense.
okay. We can go with that. But my point is, like I said, and I've said this to you before, that I think my bold prediction is that this defense is going to carry the team through the first 4 or 5 games of the season while the offense finds its footing, and that they're actually going to surprise the league this year. That's my bold prediction. And not that I'm an expert, I'll probably be wrong, but that's what I think. That I'm hoping right now that this front, certainly the front four and the 3 guys behind them, that with the talent they've brought in, that they're going to cause offensive lines a lot of problems. And I'm not saying they're going to be a Carolina Panthers or Denver defense right off the bat, but I think, or a Ravens defense in their prime, but I think they're going to be a defense that offenses are going to have to game plan for, and they're going to cause a lot of problems.
My bold prediction is going to be AGG ends with 1,000 yards this season, and Terry McLaurin right there with him. But AGG specifically, we're going to have a wide receiver duo tandem, both get over 1,000 yards, and it's going to be AGG and Terry McLaurin, and it's going to be a fun game. We're actually going to have a little bit of fantasy receivers. People actually are going to want our receivers on their team for the first time, and who knows how long. I guess Pierre Garçon was always like an interesting receiver to have, but it's been plagued for a while, our Redskins offensive, and nobody really cares about who's on the Redskins offense. So
yeah, I like it. I like the bold prediction.
That is my bold prediction.
Watching the games.
For sure. All right, well, thank you guys for sticking around to the end. Please leave some comments down there, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about it. And till next time, see ya.
See ya.